Hello, 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 and welcome to My Empty Hands, a podcast about the martial arts with a focus on Kempo. As always, I am Reggie Darden, and today I am super excited to have a wonderful guest here, Mr. Darryl Vidal, and I'm kind of speechless. I don't usually get speechless with guests, but so for those that may not know, Darryl Vidal was on the original Karate Kid movie. Um, in my eyes, and I'm sure in a lot of people's eyes, he's the one that should have won the All Valley tournament. He was, he was the real star of the movie, but we'll certainly get into that as we go along. But yeah, I'm really excited. One, because having a movie star on is always nice, but I'm also really excited because when I saw the original Karate Kid, I saw this guy doing all these great kicks, and I'm thinking, oh, well, this guy's like a Taekwondo guy, and come to find out that he is a Kempo stylist. I was like, right on. So very excited to hear that, and I was also excited to learn that he is in my old stomping ground. So I'm from San Diego, and he's out that way. So I was like, this is kismet. This is meant to be. So yeah, I'm super
Yeah.
excited to have you on and to hear your story. And yeah, we're gonna talk about your journey. We're going to talk some Karate Kid, and we're also going to talk about your book that will be out. So
Yep.
when this episode goes out, your book should be out. So yeah, I'm
Great.
excited that.
So I can talk as if it's out.
Yeah, it's coming out on December the
Great.
10th. Is that correct? So yeah,
Yep.
this episode
Yep.
will if it doesn't come out that day, it will be out by then. So yeah, I want to hear the story of how Kempo found you, how the martial arts found you, where did it all start for you, and
Yeah. I don't know that. Well, Kempo found me because when I started taking karate, and um, I don't know, like a lot of people who started when we were young. Watching Enter the Dragon and some of those old kung fu movies. I'm a little bit older than you, so this is late '60s, early '70s. Growing up in, like you said, San Diego, where I was born. My older brother would he took a karate class from a gentleman who was teaching out of the garage, and I believe it was also a Kempo stylist, but I don't know that for sure. And he studied with him for less than a year, and taught us what he was getting from his instructor, and that was just basics, stances, punches, blocks, kicks. But even at that time, I was probably 10 or 12 at the time. I could see that I had a affinity for the martial arts. I could feel, I feel like I could do the kicks and do the punches. It was definitely something that caught my interest. So we had moved to a town called Chino, which is about an hour out of LA area, and my instructor, who's still my instructor, Joe Rosas, was teaching through the Chino Parks and Rec, and it was Kempo, and it was not Ed Parker Kempo, although um, we would compete and and go to tournaments and knew those guys. Ours, we always called it Chinese Kempo, and his instructor. They shared some of the same lineage. If Chow and coming down on this side, and then a Parker on this side. My instructor, his name was Dan Guzman, studied both with Parker as well as Bill Rosaki, and I can't really get too deep into all his lineage because I really don't know. But he trained with a bunch of guys in what they call Chinese Kempo, and guys like David Torres and Rudy Castro and George Franco. They were all in that Chinese Kempo world with my instructor Joe Rosas. So that was back in the late 70s. Uh, Went up through the ranks, started doing a lot of competition. Um, and so I know it must be in your mind that a lot of the kicks that I was doing in the movie are not Kempo kicks, and that's true. Um, Kempo, is pretty much a on the ground type of system. We don't really kick high that much. We have the standard stuff, but really not jumping and spinning and falling on the ground doing kicks. But that was all flashy stuff that I kind of liked when I was going up. And so as I would compete in kata competition, I would add these flying, the flashier kicks to my kata. Next thing you know, I had this kata that was not a school kata. It was just pretty much a made up kata, a conglomeration of all these flashy moves and flashy kicks. And so I would compete with that, and I would compete pretty successfully because back in the 70s, people would pretty much just compete with a school kata. And so I'd be, 4 or 5 people, 10 people, whatever, doing more or less the same kata, and then I would come in with this crazy kata and do a bunch of, spinning kicks over the judges' heads and scream in their face, and kind of the early days of showmanship kata before they had showmanship katas. And so that was for several years in the late 70s that I competed with that. Um, Got my black belt in '81, um, and so I was doing a competition in LA in Southgate, where you probably know, and um, the guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, how would you like to be in a movie?" And it happened to be uh, the director's assistant, and the director is John Alvinson, who is also the director of Rocky. And he introduced himself, and they said, "Hey, we saw your kata, saw you compete, and we'd like to have you come and do this project that we're working on." So they gave me a number to call, and I was totally blown away. I'm not an actor. I didn't know anything about Hollywood. I knew I wanted to become famous as a karate person, but I had no idea really how to go about doing that. But I did think that, if I do this kata in enough places, people might see me. It might happen. So boom, it happened. So within a week, I'm driving down to Burbank and getting into the studio and going to a sound stage, meeting all these people who are actors, and got to meet people who were already famous back then. Pat E. Johnson, Fumio Demura, Gerald Okamura, and just crazy stuff. But that's where we started training with all the guys who were the Cobra Kais. John or Billy and Ron and all those guys. Of course, at the time I didn't know who they were. They're just people that were pretending that they knew karate. And then obviously I met Ralph and Pat Morita. Obviously, he was already what Arnold from Happy Days at the time. So I was like, oh wow, here's this guy. So that was really my first, uh, you know, being starstruck with somebody because all these other people I didn't know who they were. And then of course Pat Johnson, he was in Enter the Dragon, and Fumio Demura. These guys were already famous legends already at the time. So that was also a very cool part of the whole thing. So that's how it all kind of came about.
Very cool, very cool. So to kind of get back to the competing side, when you got into that, was it just forms, or were you doing fighting, weapons, any other
Uh,
divisions, or?
yeah, I mean, typically we would do forms and fighting, kata and kumite. So I would do both. Sometimes I'd win both. The fighting opponent, there's a lot more you know out of your control stuff. So you might get a bad ref or there's a bad call. But I was pretty good at sparring. I really like sparring more than kata. But um, uh, so yeah, we would do both. During that time, I had collected umpteen trophies. I think when I moved to from that house to this house, we're here in Murrieta where I live now. I think I didn't want to drag all those trophies around, so I think I threw away over 100 trophies, and just kept like the really special ones for me. The first one and this big one and this one from internationals or whatever, and then kind of just uh, you know got a little picky about uh, those trophies, and then that's when I started. After my black belt, started to go think about school and college and all these things, and started not competing as much. So,
Did
a lot of
you,
competition. Yeah,
before
busy with
the,
life. Yeah.
oh, before the Karate Kid thing came along, did you have any uh, aspirations of making martial arts your career? Or
Well, I mean, that's an interesting question because I always thought I would be a martial artist, and once I started training, I always knew that it would probably always be part of my life. But in the model of my instructor and many people who I knew, you know, he always had a full time job, and then karate was something that he did through the Parks and Rec at night, and I kind of modeled my life after that because I liked the idea of working through the Parks and Rec department and being involved with the community. Um, I never thought it would be something that I would get rich doing, which a lot of people do. There's a lot of people that do uh, have a school or many schools and do very well. But I always saw myself as it being my sideline, and I would work full time, or work a regular job, which I still do, and then teach on the side. So that's kind of the way that I modeled my whole life, because um, I didn't see um, that karate and or martial arts would be my whole life. You know, I always I always see that it's something kind of a hobby, something that I do, something that I love. Certainly part of my life, but not my whole life. So there's always been other things. I like to play golf. I like to snowboard. I like to fish. There's so many things in life. You can't just be doing one thing all the time. So I think you probably know what I'm talking about.
yeah, I
Studying,
could definitely
multiple
relate to
different
that.
martial arts or either other sports and hobbies as well. So
Yeah, no, I have a hard time deciding on just which martial art I
yeah,
want to do. I mean, I love kempo, and as we talked before we started recording, I've also done capoeira and
yeah.
taekwondo and hapkido. Took a Brazilian jiu-jitsu class last night,
Oh, really?
and yeah, there's I'm looking into getting into some FMA. Uh,
Okay. Well,
and
I teach that too.
we
One of the
we
other things I have a program for Filipino stick fighting, I call it, and it's not really tied to any one lineage, because I trained with so many different people. But I did want to teach it, so after I had been, collected all my drills and stuff that I would put together, I created the curriculum that I use now for Murrieta Stick Fighting Club, and so I usually have. So I teach karate 2 nights a week, and then every other week I have my stick fighting club, and yeah, that's
very nice,
another
very
one of
nice.
my core martial arts.
So we got the Kempo, we got the FMA. Any other systems that you've trained in? Or
Yeah, well, early on when I was younger, I wrestled in high school, which gave me a little bit of that grappling background. That you always use those skills, you never lose them. And then and as a brown belt in my teens, I also boxed for a couple of years. And a lot of this I modeled after Bruce Lee. Like, oh, Bruce Lee, he does this, he does that. He learned to box, Wing Chun. So I sought out a Wing Chun guy, and kind of got some fundamentals of Wing Chun, which I love, and always do those drills. And if I run into somebody, do a little chi sao. I have a traditional wooden Luke Jong wooden dummy in my little chair here.
Oh, very nice.
So yeah.
Very nice, very nice. So, as far as like the teaching side of that, uh, were you already teaching kind of before the Karate Kid stuff came along? Were you already into the teaching side of it, or
Yeah. When you get to be like a brown belt and you get your black belt, most time you help out with in class, and that's what I was doing. So I become like my instructor's senior student once I got my black belt, and always teaching and training. I always say that when you teach, you learn, and so yeah, it's something that I've always loved to do. When I moved here to Murrieta, where I live now, 35 years ago, it was just a new city. It just, it's a new community, or was. And my wife and I, my wife teaches dance, and so we both approached the new city here and said, "Hey, the Parks and Recreation program was just starting out, and we both started teaching our classes, karate and dance, and those programs flourished, and I'm still teaching, and she is still teaching to this day. So yeah, it's really worked out for us."
Very nice, very nice. So with you get cast in the Karate Kid. Well, actually, let me kind of go back a little bit. So they reached out to you, but you didn't have to still like audition or anything. Like, was it
No, I
kind of
sure didn't.
automatically done deal or anything?
Basically, where they saw me and scouted me at that tournament, that was my audition. They said, "We want this guy." They gave me the phone number. I called it. Come in and start training with Pat Johnson and the Cobra Guys. So yeah, it was instantaneous, and it was really cool because like again, I was not an actor. I didn't know anything about it, and all of a sudden I'm in a sound stage, actors and all these cast and crew walking around everywhere, cameras, lights, all that.
Mhm.
So it's
And
really an amazing.
was your part kind of already set, or were they just like, oh well, like we need some background guys? And
Yeah, it was kind of like that because they brought me in to bring some realism. That was kind of his thought process. So that they gave me a character, who would be kind of like he was in the montage, right? There's a lot of these cuts where you see me fighting other people, but I have a different logo, different key. So I was, a competitor. So they intentionally brought me in to be, kind of the guy who really does karate. And I didn't expect it to stick out so much, but, everybody that I talk to even to this day is, "Oh yeah, you're the guy, you could tell." And, but, to their credit, they, I guess they could see that it would make it, bring another nuance to the whole thing with this guy doing this different type of moves. And it kind of branched into when they approached me, like after I've been working with them for a week or so, they came and said, "Hey, we have this other role, we have this other part of the movie where where the old man, Pat Morita, Mr. Miyagi, is doing the crane technique." And I was like, "What's the crane technique?" And they say, "Well, we want you to do the crane technique because, I don't think anybody else can do it. So you're going to stand up on this telephone pole or a stump, right, sticking out of the ground, and you're gonna have one leg up, and put your arms out to the side like a bird, like a crane, and then do this jump kick. And the way they explained it to me was the kid would get injured, right? His leg would get hurt, and so he could only stand on one leg. So stand on one leg, do the crane technique, jump and kick, and then land on that same leg. And so I said, okay, let me go practice that, and I'll tell you what I come back with. And I was actually in the soundstage, kind of like doing all these different, and it really wouldn't work, right? Because if you're gonna jump and kick and then land, you have to kind of be in the air for a while. So I finally went back to them, and I actually was talking to Ron Thomas about this. He was the guy that played Bobby Brown, and he was also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He hadn't told anybody, so they didn't know, but you can tell also that he's trained. So we were working, and it's like, I don't think it's gonna work. So I'm gonna tell him that I'm gonna try to do this. So what I went back with was basically a double jump kick, right? One leg up, or if you were to do a fake kick, jump, do the kick, land on the other leg, and then so if you watch it, you'll see it. I jump, kick, land on the other leg, and then switch real fast back into the right leg base, and then that became the crane kick. And after I did that with the arms out, they said, okay, well, you got to do something else with your hands. You can't just stand like that all the time. So I said, okay, let's do this. I take this Wing Chun stance like this, and then go down and come up and bam, do the crane kick. And I had no idea. I thought it was foolish, and but I only said, I think I said, why would you ever do that? I said it one time, and they were like, because it's the crane kick. I said, okay, you're the boss. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. And so, we did that. And they actually had me practicing it on. And so what I did is I said, give me I didn't know that it would be a stump, 4 feet off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, yeah, you want to do this on top of this. It's going to be a telephone pole. I said, okay, well, get me a paper plate. So somebody went to the cafeteria, got a paper plate, and I practiced doing the thing on top of the paper plate just to prove that, I could do it and land back on this little spot. And it was pretty easy. I had a pretty good ability at the time to do that. And so that was it. Next day I come back, and they have a section of telephone pole, like probably about 3 feet tall. And it's just loose. It's on the, on the floor. And I go, well, if I get on top of that, the thing is going to fall over, So Pat Johnson, bless his soul, man, the guy's such a cool guy. He gets down on his knees and he's holding the thing. He's okay, try it now while I'm holding this. I'm like, I could probably do it, but if I fall down, I'm going to fall on you, So I do the kick a couple times. Okay, we're good. And then, so that was all summer. We were doing the training. We trained for 6 weeks, and then kind of went away. And they said, "Okay, we're going to call you back." And when we get to that time, I wasn't there the whole time. I was only called back for the beach scenes, and then the tournament scenes. Well, the beach scenes was in October of 1983, so it's starting to get cold. And we're out there on the beach, and I come out there, and there's those posts sticking out of they had just put them there, like, the day before, of course. And so they're, and they got all the cameras and all the people, and we're going to do the crane kick. So he's, okay, cameras here, sun setting, so we have only a certain amount of time to do this. Go out there and just keep going, doing the kick over and over until we tell you to stop. And then we're going to need to change lenses and stuff. So walk out on the beach and get up there, boom, just do it over and over and over. The funny thing about it was the telephone pole that they had there were like 3 of them in a row. And they said, go to the one in the middle. I think it was one or the end. I can't even remember. But the top of it was like it was broken off. It wasn't like a clean cut.
Oh.
Only about half of it was clean, and the second half of it was like, like if you took a stick and broke it. So it was you couldn't stand on it, but that was the one they wanted me to do. So I really only had half of telephone pole exposed. So I was still able to do it, but it wasn't as easy as if it was just a flat cut. So do it 15, 20 times. Okay, take a rest. We're going to change lenses. They change the lens on the camera, get back, do it 15, 20 times. Okay, good job. That was it. Did the crane technique. Of course, I'm all dressed up, right, in a bodysuit, and a bald head. That makes me look like I look now, actually. Yeah, that was it. They did the crane kick, and then, okay, you're done. We'll call you back when the tournament scenes. So 3 months later, it was actually December when we came back to, and they had all this tournament stuff set up, and I was totally blown away that they could, basically do a tournament, and they actually had like 2 other Karate Kid tournaments, where they got real tournament promoters to do these tournaments so that the director and everybody could see how it actually goes. And so, and then in December, when we finally got around to it, they, got the gym, all the spectators, all the judges. And so, for yourself, if you look at the judges that are in the background of the tournament scenes, there's some really famous karate people in the back there. Bob White, Dave Torres, I can't even remember, Dan Ivan, Steve Sander. I mean, these guys were, but for me, they were karate regulars. I would always see them in tournaments, and hey, you're doing this part, and you're a judge. Yeah, cool. And so it's a lot of fun to look back and say, see who that guy is. That is, this master of karate.
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna have to.
I mean, the filming went all the way up till December 31st.
Oh, wow.
And it was like that night. It was New Year's Eve, and they're buttoning up. And I said, "Okay, I finished all my parts. We'll see you at the premiere." That's how it all went. 40 years ago, Reggie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Time flies. Yeah. Don't remind me how old how old I am. We are. I mean, I'm a little bit younger than you, but not that much younger. So.
No, I know. Everyone catches up at some point.
But yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned that. In that I'm gonna have to. I watched Karate Kid many times. I'm gonna have to watch the tournament scene a little bit closer now and check out the who's who that's.
Oh yeah, check out who's in the red shirts. There's a lot of them, and everybody knows those red shirts. So people have remade them.
So I like that, and then I also like that you clarified that. You were not the inventor of the kick, but you performed it, and because I'll have to rewatch it. I'm blanking on the name of. There was a documentary film about the director, and when they were talking about the karate, when he was talking about the Karate Kid. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, and he gave you very, very high praise and
yes.
I believe he said that you came up with it, but I may be wrong. So
Well, no, because there is confusion about it because John Alvinson, I think after like 10 or 20 years after I connected with him because I wanted him to sign a script that I had, and I think he felt bad that that I didn't really get credit for the crane kick at the time. Because if you watch at the end, the cast list goes up and it says Darryl Vidal So for 20 years, I couldn't even prove that that was me. So he made a little video. You can find it on YouTube somewhere. And it's me and John. He says, and this, Darryl, he invented the crane kick. So I said, there you go. But, in my mind, the kick is a double jump kick. So I don't try to claim the double jump kick. But when you start adding all this stuff to it, I did that.
Very nice. Yeah, no, you performed it well, and it's I like now that you've mentioned that it wasn't the most optimal conditions to do it in, so now it even is more impressive. So now when I watch it, I'm gonna be like, hey, like that was a lot harder than it looked.
Yeah, it is, and the funny thing is now that I'm as old as I am, and I recently had a hip surgery because I had, we're just wear and tear over the years. So I probably couldn't do it now. I mean, I could get in the position, but doing the jump and getting and landing it, probably not so. So I can still fake it, I'm sure.
Well, you got it on film, so that's all we need. So
it's a done deal.
Very nice, very nice. So just kind of staying on the Karate Kid a little bit. So as far as the cast, so I mean, pretty much you and Rob Thomas, I believe, were the only Ron, excuse me.
Yeah.
Were the only actual martial artist out of the cast, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Well, obviously Pat Johnson, is one of Chuck Norris's students in Tong Soo Do, but he's the center judge, and then like you said, Ron Thomas, who played Bobby Brown, was a black belt, or still is in jiu-jitsu, and we still connect every now and then. He lives kind of close to me, so we'll play golf and stuff. But nobody else. Chad McQueen had a lot of experience because his dad, Steve McQueen, and Pat Johnson were best friends, and so Chad would go and train, but he didn't have a black belt, so that's why if you watch that, you can say, oh, he's pretty good, and he did know how to do the karate, but he didn't hold a black belt at the time. And then like Billy Zabka, I think he had wrestled at the time, but he, very athletic, so he took right to it, was able to do.
Yeah, that's something that you actually I was going to bring up earlier, but you just reminded me now. That's really a testament to how well they got everything together for the movie, because being a martial artist, and you watch movies, especially non-martial arts movies where they have a fight scene or something, and it's like, okay, like that guy didn't really train or that girl didn't really train. But with the Karate Kid, I mean, there were obviously people that were better, but I think for the most part, it was like, I didn't really realize that a lot of people, most of the cast had not trained. So
I mean, they did have 6 weeks. I mean, they're you can learn your front kicks and your round kicks and your jab punch pretty effectively. So
well, I mean, that's the thing, is like you can learn it, but to be camera ready, I've been doing martial arts since the 90s, and I think if I was on camera, I don't think I would. I don't think I would look like I knew what I was doing. Even though
I would. I think that you would, because one, the camera can help a lot if the director knows what he's doing. He knows how to block. He knows how to get the right shots. Get the right angles, and you can look a lot better, because when they were doing the movie and we were doing the tournament, and I was watching them film that, and we were just shaking our heads thinking, this is not going to work, it's going to look terrible, and then when it comes out, it's like, okay, it looks pretty good.
So when they're doing the training, I assume that you had to be part of the training they were doing, where you're kind of like, Oh,
Pretty
like
much.
what do we, like? I know all this. Like, can I
Yeah,
go
I
like
mean,
hang out at
uh,
a?
I did feel like part of the group because even though I wasn't one of the Cobra Kai's, we were all training together, and they let me, do some of the training, teach, do some of it since I was the black belt, and so Pat would say, "Okay, go ahead and run, some front kicks over there." So I would actually, I wouldn't say teach them, but lead the workout. Um, and so 6 weeks, then you can, a bunch of teenagers they could learn some basics, pull it off.
You know, did you have any? Did you get to have any input on? You're like, oh well, like this fight should go this way, or
Not in
I
terms of the plot, in terms of who went up and down in the tournament standings, but pretty much Pat let me choreograph all my scenes because he said, okay, now we want to, and so I could say, hey, when we have this shot, he's going to come in. I'm going to do this move, and they, okay, we like that. Okay, so that was the drop spin kick, and then okay, when he comes in, I'm going to do this back spin, and so those some of the favorite scenes out of that movie. When I back spin the fat guy, that people really like that kick.
oh yeah,
Then
no.
there's jump spin back. So he let me pretty much showcase all the things that I wanted to do, and then when in the fight where I fight Johnny, we did it together. But I kind of said let's do this, then let's do this, and then let's do this, and they said looks good. And so we basically had a full tournament fight scene, all choreographed. So everything pretty much was laid out for us. They just filmed it. We did it like I don't know 5-10 times, and then they just cut it and edited it to what you see today.
Mhm. Anything that you shot that didn't make it into the movie that you were like, I wish I would have put that in there.
Well, yeah, there is because when we choreographed the fight of me and Johnny, I score a point. So it goes, he scores a point, I score a point, he scores a point, and then he scores another point, and I lose. But at least I scored a point. And then when it got on the movie, it's like, what happened to my point? I didn't even score one point. He
Oh,
beats me 3-0. And I actually talked to John about that. I go, what happened to my point? Yeah, we needed to make the movie shorter. Like, oh,
yeah, that's the thing about Hollywood or
Hollywood.
television. So I've actually been on local news when I was living in Reno. I got to be on the local news a couple of times. I was working for an IT company, and they were wanting to interview tech tech experts
Excellent.
about the new version of Windows that was coming
Okay.
out at the time. And in both situations, they interviewed me for, I don't know, good 30-45 minutes. And, you know, I, I was like excited, like, oh, I'm going to be on the TV. And both times it was like a 60 seconds worth of footage that they used. And
Yeah.
it's like, man, this is messed up. They talked to me a long time. Why? And they're only using a minute, if that. So,
Yep.
yeah,
That's how it is.
TV and movies. Yeah, there's you don't get to see as much as you think you would. So,
Yep.
I can relate to that. So one more thing with karate. I mean, I could talk Karate Kid all day long, but we've got a lot of other things to get to. But I did want to ask. So with the Karate Kid and it blew up the way that it did. Did you have any aspirations for staying in the movie biz,
Well,
or you
you know
just
what? Of course I did because, as I was coming up the ranks, I knew I was good at karate, so I definitely thought that I could be the next Bruce Lee, become a movie star, and obviously getting into the Karate Kid could have launched that, but after the Karate Kid, um, it didn't catch my eye. It was like, this is tough. This is hard work. A lot of the people that I met, like on the sidelines and got to hang out with, were it kind of lost its glamour. So I did get an audition, but I never got an agent, and so nobody was really trying to put me out there. So I did get an audition. It didn't pan out. Uh, then I was, got a job. Uh, we had a full time job and was planning on finishing school, and you know that was kind of it. I didn't really pursue it at the time. Went back to a regular lifestyle. Started teaching karate, working full time, getting married. Life happened. But to answer the question, I didn't pursue it with a lot of zeal because it kind of lost all its attractiveness after I had done the movie. Well, looking back, I wish I had made a bigger effort, but I don't have any regrets. I mean, I love the way my life turned out. I have a great family, great kids, great grandkids. Uh, a lot of students over 35 years of teaching here in Marietta. So I have a lot to be thankful for. So yeah, like I said, no regrets. But
Yeah,
it would be
no.
nice to be a millionaire, a movie star. But I've got my piece of the action.
Well, I mean, with a one and done, that the Karate Kid is the one and done to have. If you're gonna
You
have
know
a
what?
one and done, I mean, it
Exactly.
doesn't get.
There's so many other little movies there that people come out in, and the movie disappears, and for some reason, and I still can't put my finger on it, except for maybe that, it's a John Alvinson underdog movie. It's not a martial arts movie, really. It's really a story about a kid who didn't have a dad, and I just a lot of people connected with that movie, and
Yeah,
for the first 10 years, it would only come on once a year. So it's the Karate Kid's on again, watch it, or maybe you had it on tape, so people would watch it on tape, and then it wasn't until like 20 years later that it started to really pick up steam, and it would show multiple times, and they would have a Karate Kid marathon and show all three of them, and so it kind of got steam, and then after 30 years, it was like canon. People were like, "Oh, the Karate Kid, 30-year anniversary." So I started getting invited to all these events, and living 30 years in anonymity with this one little thing, and then all of a sudden it blew up, and then with Cobra Kai and everything.
yeah. I mean, the movie itself really connected with so many people, and there's so many people that got into the martial arts because of the movie, and that's huge. And then now with this Cobra Kai and the resurgence of it, it's just reaching more people. I know that you've gotten some mentions on Cobra Kai, but did they ask you to, or have they asked you to pop up on any of the episodes here?
Well, like you said, I've been mentioned. I've actually been shown because they used a cut from the original movie in episode 1, and the rest I can't say anything.
Oh, okay.
There is one more part of season 6 left, right?
Okay. Oh, all right. I like this. This is turning
No
into
spoilers.
this is turning into a really great day. So I've told some others that today is the Karate Kid day for me. So as far as recording, so having you on, and then later on today, I'm going to be recording with a gentleman that was I guess a background person on the latest season of Cobra Kai. So
Okay.
getting
Who's
to
that?
talk to his name is Chris. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm messing up my thought process. His name here, Robertson, I believe. Chris Roberts, Chris D. Roberts is
Okay.
the gentleman that I'm going to be speaking with. And my understanding, if I remember correctly, he is like the one of the judges for the French team, one of the coaches for the French team. So. So yeah, I'm excited to get some more Karate Kid universe info and stories. So yeah, this is exciting. Now I'm gonna, in addition to rewatching Karate Kid today, I guess I'm gonna have to go back through Cobra Kai again. I actually just got through the whole series that's out so far. So
Right.
time to go back and rewatch it again and. So I'm looking forward to that.
Part 3 comes out February 13th.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see it. So, we're definitely going to get onto your book here, but so I have to mention one. Do you have any excitement for the Karate Kid movie that's coming up with the Daniel and Jackie
Legends.
Chan and Legends. That's it. Is there?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really, I don't want to poo-poo anything, but the Karate Kid 2010, a lot of people felt like that should have been called the Kung Fu Kid, right? Jackie Chan,
exactly.
Kung Fu, China, all that kind of stuff. I always kind of felt like, okay, whatever. It doesn't take away from the Karate Kid. Still a great story. But whether it's really part of the universe, yeah. But anything that comes out is only going to add to the universe. So a Broadway show, the Legends show, have at it, man.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they're going to connect it. Connect the worlds and the story.
So am I. Yeah.
I think it'll be fun. So,
yeah.
You're not in it now, are you?
No.
Okay.
I can tell you that for sure.
Right on. Okay, well, we'll definitely have to get on to more of that at another time. But we've got to talk about your book. I'm
Great.
excited to see what this see what it's all about. I got a little glimpse into what it is. But let's talk the book.
Great, thanks, Reggie. And you had mentioned that you're an IT guy.
Yes.
So I am too. I 30 plus years in technology, and mostly with schools, and that's really the basis of the book, which is called MindCraft, not Minecraft, but MindCraft. And going back all the way, I've always been a tech person. Looking back to Terminator with Skynet and sentient computers, and the idea of AI taking over has always been something that I've loved. And so I after watching, there's so many things out there, especially now. It was timely for me to put together a book that involves technology and esports and gaming, which I'm not really a gamer, but I know about the world of it because I'm on the periphery of it with schools and stuff. And so came up with a plot line, and so the concept is Minecraft is a arcade style game that has taken over the world, and basically everybody plays it. So maybe 4 or 5 years in the future, it's expanded so everybody plays it. It can translate on the fly, so there's no barriers. There's no language barriers. I can play against you. I can play against these people in China, and we'll all be playing together. and so the concept is, um, there's all these teams, uh, Minecraft universe MCU, uh, is this global competition that comes out kind of like the Olympics of esports, and we follow a team called the Digital Mavericks, and they compete in this. But as they get deeper into the the competition, uh, there's also, okay. So you have Minecraft, which is the game. There's also, they're all in school too, and there's also this uh, educational system which runs all the curriculum, and it's called Edunex, and it becomes its own global phenomenon. Basically, it's so successful, or every student is on Edunex, which could happen. But then, while they're amidst all the flurry of the competitions, Edunex buys Minecraft, and it's like, oh, what's happening here? Is AI going to take over the world? And well, it starts to seem that there's a nefarious agenda behind Edgenex and Minecraft, and so that's what the book is about. Um, it's kind of a roller coaster ride. We're going through competitions, but at the same time, there's this underlying agenda that they're trying to investigate and discover, and part of the storyline is that even though AI is in kind of like in the cloud, if you will, or in the compute systems, it can also affect real life, right? So so the things that happen to the digital mavericks as they compete, and they start to ask the question: is is it rigged? Is somebody behind this? Is what is controlling it, and why are our lives being affected? What caused this accident, and why did this happen, and why did that happen in real life? So that's what is going on as they work towards this competition, and so that's what the book is about. And like I said, it comes out December 10th, and I'm really excited about it. Trying to actually shop it to, because I think it could be a great movie. Everybody who's read it can see it like the next Hunger Games type of movie, or Ready Player One if you've seen that movie. And I definitely think it could be something like that. So try to get the word out. See if I can find a script writer. Show it to people who I know in the business, and maybe somebody who's listening to Reggie will pick up it and want to write the script for it.
Yeah, very. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to read it. I have pre-ordered it, so
Oh, thank you.
yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it. It sounds like it's going to be a good ride, and definitely relevant. I've been
Oh, it
talking with
is.
my wife lately about just it's crazy how AI is really affecting our lives
Every
and
day.
kind of ways that we're not even realizing it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. More
Just
than you know.
oh yeah.
People like us understand, where it's impacting our lives, or how. But you, you really don't know how, if there's an agenda. Who's driving the thing, right? So
Hmm, hmm.
yeah.
So
Appreciate you allowing me to plug my book.
yeah, yeah, no, I'm like I said, I'm excited to read it, and yeah, it would definitely. I agree with you. It would definitely make a great movie, a mini series, or something like that. So, uh,
So the title of the book is called MindCraft: The Educational Singularity. And if you just do a search with my name, Darryl Vidal, and Minecraft, you can get it at Barnes and Noble, Amazon, all wherever books are sold. It's already available on pre-order, like you say. In December 10th, the hardback and the Kindle version will be available, and then I think in January we're going to have the paperback
very nice, and yeah, we'll put links to that in the
come out. Oh, thank you.
in the show notes and stuff, and I'll make sure to promote it to everybody that I talk to. So yeah, I'm excited for that. So
Great.
all right, so we're gonna move to our lightning round here as we
Okay.
get close in on our time here today. So just a kind of few little fun little questions to close things out with. First thing being, do you have a favorite technique?
You mean for like sparring?
Well, just so since this is typically geared towards your normal Kempo folk. Usually, what I mean by technique is you have your your five swords, your thundering hammers, that sort of thing. But we can open it up to anything. So
Right.
if there's a
Yeah, that's
particular
a
kick
good
you like
question
or something like
because
that.
good question because even though we're Kempo, we're not Ed Parker, and so we don't have five swords and tail dragon or mystic whatever. We have all our techniques are they're in groups of 10, and there's set one, set two, number one, number two, so they don't really have titles and stuff. But to think about what my favorite one is.
And it doesn't have to be just one if you want to.
Yeah,
Throw out a
there's
few.
a whole
That's fine.
there's a whole group of them, but I like. Okay, so I told you I do some Filipino stick fighting too. So there's not a lot of overlap, but there is some with arm locks and wrist locks and stuff and disarms, and so a lot of the arm manipulation stuff are very enjoyable to me because it kind of cross over in both areas. I can use it in Kempo, I can use it in stick fighting, you can use it as a self defense move. So yeah, inside grips, outside grips, arm manipulations. That's what I like.
Very nice. Very nice. I like it. All right. Next one. Do you have a favorite form and or set?
Uh, um, I mean, all the forms are very special to me. For different reasons. This is the fundamental one. This is the one that starts to incorporate soft, techniques. So I can't say that I have one. I have been modifying some of our kata to include the bow staff. So that's something that I'm working on right now for my school. So yeah, adding the bow staff to some of our katas is
Oh, very very nice and
now.
perfect. That leads into the next question. Do you have a favorite weapon?
In terms of Kempo, definitely bow staff. I mean, not because I'm great with it. I mean, I can't do all the spinning and twirling. I mean, to me, it's really a very practical, fundamental weapon. An extension of your body, extension of Filipino stick fighting. So I love it, but I just pretty much stick to the fundamentals. And then some of the thing I don't spin it, I don't throw it over my head and all that kind of stuff. I don't like where it turns into a circus act or acrobatics or things that really have no application. I watch some of these guys and they're going 100 miles an hour, but it's an aluminum staff. So if you hit somebody with it, it would break.
Yeah.
I like nunchucks that are real nunchucks, and if you make a mistake, it smashes you in the face. Or
Yeah.
then we can really see how good you are.
Yeah. No, I agree. I recently picked up a staff to get back to working on staff set,
Yeah.
and I was I was at the store and looking at the different staffs, and it's like, yeah, they had tons of these extreme martial art, all these crazy colors and all this stuff like that. I'm like, no, I just want a traditional, just hardwood, regular staff, and it's like they had like one regular staff and all these other crazy ones, and I'm like,
yeah,
give me the traditional one, and
right.
Yeah, you can keep all that other stuff, and so I've got my staff, and I've been working on staff set in my living room, and so far my dogs, myself, and my furniture have have not taken
Good.
any
Good
serious damage. So, but the day is still young, so we'll see.
Right.
See how that
Still break
goes.
something.
But yeah, when you get that staff set going, definitely have to check that out and see what you have going there.
All right. Cool.
And so then the last question here: if there is anyone that you could train with, living or dead, fictional or non-fictional, who would that be?
Okay. Well, I have a couple
Besides
for you.
Ed Parker, since we're Kempo folks. Besides Ed Parker.
I didn't meet Ed Parker because at the in the late 90s, he passed in 96 or something.
90.
My instructor was very involved with the internationals, so we would go and do his judges training, and I met him a couple times there. But to answer your question, obviously Bruce Lee, he's he's the one who drew me into all this, and would love to have known him or trained with him. In terms of alive, Danny Inosanto, even though he's out here, he's near me. He travels all over the world, and I've never met him. So, and it would be pretty simple for me to sign up for a seminar or, to look him up and go to his place, but it just has never happened. And but it will at some point, hopefully, before he gets too old and passes away. So those are really
very nice. I like it. All right. Well, now we are at the time for shameless self-promotion. So you can plug anything you like or say anything that you like. Anything
again, I thank you, Reggie. Great show. Love talking with you and plugging my book. For fans, if you want to, I can be reached. Pretty available on Facebook. My Facebook account that I have for martial arts is Vidal Kempo. So Vidal Kempo on Facebook, on Instagram. I have a silly handle. It's called Rock Breaker Boy. Because
I like it.
For good reason at the time I didn't realize how it was going to mark me. But I know I can change it, but it's already out there. So Rock Breaker Boy on Instagram. You can message me on either of those platforms, and I'll usually respond as long as you're not trying to sell me something. And I like to interact with the fans and talk to people. And, I actually have a merch site, so if you either go to either one of those platforms, you go to my bio. My link tree is there, so I have a site with all merchandise where you can get my logo on a t-shirts or hoodies or on a coffee cup, and then I will be having autographed photos and my book available on that merch site, and you can buy it, get it autographed, and I'll ship it to you.
All right, excellent. Yeah, I will put links to that on my page and in the show notes and stuff. So, yeah, definitely, boys and girls, get out there, get some nice Christmas gifts. If that's your thing, or if it's not Christmas, just get a gift just because. Just because you need to. So, but I thank you so much for taking the time to be on with me and hearing your story. And we could definitely talk Karate Kid and Kempo and FMA stuff all the long day. So we'll definitely have to do a part 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 as we go along. But yeah, I just thank you so much, and I can't wait to get this out for everyone to hear. And just thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to My Empty Hands. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend. If you didn't enjoy it, please share it with an enemy. If you'd like to be a guest, or if you would like to recommend a guest for the show, please email me at podcast@talkingkempo.com. Thank you.